All games have a journey that we want players to go through until they achieve the goal of our game. This goal can be anything, but to help players understand what is the journey that we want them to experience, we use incentives. Games are systems of incentives. This is the major difference between a game and other medias, because in other medias, the viewer, the consumer, is consuming the media passively, so they will basically just watch and consume the media. But in games, players or the audience is building this media together. So we are co-authors of the player's narrative, of the storytelling. To give them some direction in their journey, we use incentives. These incentives can be rewards, which can be positive rewards and negative rewards, or punishments. This can be positive punishments or negative punishments. In this video specifically, we are going to talk about a very specific kind of reward, which is a positive reward known as a score system. So in Godot Engine, I have this project. This is the project that I'm making for my upcoming course, Godot Adventure Essentials, in which I'm going to help you tell the stories that you want, so that you can create this journey using dialogues, quests, interactive objects, and more. So in this project, we start with the following quest. We have to destroy 5 large asteroids. I'm going to finish this quest real quick, and I'll be right back. So I'm about to finish this quest, and as soon as I destroy this large asteroid here, I'm going to be rewarded with 1,500 score points. So you can see that my score just increased. And what we can infer from that? Well, as humans, we act based on incentives. This is the major field of study in game design. We have to understand how the human mind reacts to incentives. By the way, if you don't want to know about the game design principles behind the score system, if you are just interested in the final asset that I'm going to provide, the link will be in the description so that you can download the score point asset and the score singleton asset, so that you can copy paste it on your project and you have a score system working. The major thing behind incentives is that humans react based on incentives. Many people think that humans are not rational, but in most cases, humans are completely rational. We balance out the weight of our decisions so that we can prospect a better future. So if you have incentives to do something, so positive incentives to do something, you are going to do it. This is why we have a market. A market has the positive incentives of rewarding you with money that you can spend to fulfill your needs. So that's why we work. We have the positive incentive to work because we are going to be positively rewarded for that. And if we are going to be punished by doing an action, we try to avoid these actions, or we try to figure out better ways to achieve the same goal without doing this action. This is why we have a criminal system, so that we can provide the negative incentives for some behaviors, and the players of our society understand what are the actions that we want them to do and what are the actions that we want them to avoid. What are the positive and negative incentives in our society. A positive reward is when we add a desirable resource, a desirable thing to the system, and a negative reward is when we remove an undesirable resource from the system. So for instance, a positive reward is a score system. So when players defeat an enemy, they gain a given amount of scores or experience or gold, so on and so forth. And a negative reward is when we remove something undesirable from the system. So this can be an act trick. So an act trick is when we add some mechanism to the system that decreases the player's agency. So for instance, if we have a countdown, that once this countdown reaches 0, the players get defeated or they lose a life. So this is an act trick. And a positive reward is can be removing this act trick from the system. So if we have a countdown and players finish a given task before this countdown finishes, we can remove this countdown. This is a positive reward. A positive punishment is when we add something undesirable to the system. So for instance, this can be this very countdown itself, or it can be a slowdown, or it can be a damage over time scheme, or a mechanism, or something like this, or a burn, or poison, or frozen, stuff like this. But in this case, we are going to use this countdown. So when we add this countdown, we are positively punishing the players. We are decreasing the scope of actions that players have in the system, decreasing their agency, so adding act rate to the system. A negative punishment is when we remove something desirable from the system. So this can be, for instance, when this countdown reaches 0, players are going to lose a life. Players are going to lose their run in the game. Or when players collide with something, or players, for instance, a spike, players lose some health, so on and so forth. These are the main weapons that we have to communicate with players what we want them to do. This is the main communication channel that game designers have with players. Of course, we have some narrative devices, so for instance, dialogues that we can use to communicate some stuff directly to players. But since games are systems of incentives, this is the major channel of communication that we have to tell players how we want them to behave, how we want them their journey to be from the start point to achieving the goal of our game. So we have to understand how all of this works so that we can punish and reward players accordingly with the goal, with the journey that we propose to them. Here in Godot Engine, I'm going to show you real quick how I achieve that. So I have a score system, as you saw. If you watch the video about health bars, we saw that I created a game resource node. This is a class that is basically what I use to create any resource in my game. So it can be gold, experience, lumber, food, and in this case, score. And in that sense, the score singleton is basically a game resource that has a save load, so that when players close the session, they will maintain the progress with this resource. This is basically all that this score singleton does, different from the game resource itself. It has a direct save load that's going to store the score into this game file. If you are interested about how this save load component works, I'm going to add the link to the video in the card and at the end of this video. So you're going to be recommended to watch the game resource, so the health bar video, and the save load video as well. So you can marathon this channel because we have a lot of cool resources, learning resources about game development. And here in Godot Engine, the way that we can create a singleton is by going to project settings, globals, and you can see that I have a score singleton here. But if you don't have it yet, you can basically go to that, select the scene, edit, and give it a name. Why this is important? So a singleton is a design pattern that we use to create applications. So this is a software or an engineering design pattern, so a programming pattern. And the singleton has two major benefits. It's globally available for every other class, and all the reference to this instance of the singleton class is not overridable, so it's always going to be the same instance. This maintains data coherence between all the user classes. So when a user class accesses this score singleton, we are ensuring that it's always accessing the same instance as the other classes as well. So this maintains the coherence between this data. And this is important because of this next component that I'm going to show you, the score point component. The score point component is basically a component that allows anything to score points. So here is a very simple component. It has a scored signal, which is emitted when we score something, and it has some points that we can use to score points for the players. So it basically increases the maximum amount of the score singleton. This is just because since we are using the game resource as the base scene for the score singleton, it has a maximum amount that limits the current amount as well. So the current amount is always capped to the max amount. So if I don't increase the maximum amount here, it's going to be limited by the maximum amount, by the default maximum amount. So this ensures that the current amount that I'm going to increase is not going to be capped by the maximum amount. And at the bottom here, we emit the score signal, and this allows me to turn anything into something that can score points for the players. So for instance, I have a quest. So if I go to my playground, I have this quest node, which is going to ask players to destroy 5 large asteroids. And I have this quest monitor. So I'm going to talk about this quest system in the future because I'm really liking it. Anything can be turned into a quest, for instance. But this quest monitor is a component that monitors the status of a quest. So I basically just need to pass the ID, the quest ID here. And I can use these signals to communicate to other classes, to other nodes, what is the current state of the status of this quest. So for instance, in this case, I'm using the completed signal here to tell the score points to score. So this is the score point that is going to score 1500 points to the players. And well, that's basically it. So this is my score system. Is basically an extension of my game resource system, in which you can watch on this video. And also I use the save load component from this video to maintain players' progress on their journey. Don't forget to subscribe for the mailing list to get notified when I release the Godot Adventure Essentials course. This is going to be a course that will teach you how you can tell your stories to players and guide them through a journey. But for this video, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Keep developing, and until the next one. Bye bye.